the Irish guy, and are you serious? Are you for real? I thought I was safe at the start of this season. I said that for every big Everton spent in the relegation zone, that I would dunk a bucket of freezing cold milk all over my face. I did that for the first month of the season, each and every painful week. To a point where it actually felt like I was born in a bowl of soggy Weetabix, especially when the milk got in my eyes. Oh, it then felt like some horror film where I've just been swallowed by a cow. I thought I was safe now. Everton won 4 of the last 7 Premier League games. I was gearing myself for an insanely comfortable, dry rest of the season, but no. Instead, they've had 10 points wiped off the board. So essentially, those miracle away wins against Brentford, West Ham and Crystal Palace, as well as that solid point at home to Brighton, none of those results actually count. They might as well all have occurred in a Sean Dyche dream as he hugged his teddy bear and drew last night's lasagna all over his wife's feet with a couple of worms chucked in a chunk of potato. They now have 4 points from 12 games. They are currently joint rock bottom of the league, despite having won as many games as Chelsea. How unfair is this? I feel like one of those poor blokes in one of those Saw films who thinks he survived the entire film and is about to now walk off into the sunset and then suddenly realizes at the last minute that his foot is chained to some grizzly bear's knob. Everton's staying up with my Walt Disney happy ending. But now, when the Premier League comes back next week and I do my Prem catch-up, then I am automatically back to spluttering milk out my nose. Everton are an easy target. They are. The Premier League has no problem slapping a punishment on them, but Manchester City and their team of expensive lawyers, oh no, they'll drag out that court case until the end of time. Ozzy, by the time we actually get around to seeing that club on trial, I'd imagine vampires will have since inherited the earth, the sky will have turned purple, trees will be extinct, and the Simpsons will be on to season 397 with the poor old woman who voices Marge just begging for someone to switch off her life support machine. It's like having that one teacher at school. I remember vividly. I mean, some no-hopper dunce like me, someone with the face of a mashed potato and the intelligence of burnt seaweed, then yeah. Oh, if I do something like, I don't know, do a poo in someone's pencil case as a prank, oh, then I absolutely get an hour's worth of detention and given an appointment with a child psychiatrist. What, I mean, if the popular kid with millionaire parents, oh, if he does something like decapitate a dog in class, oh, the teacher then gives him a pat on the back because his dad sponsors the rugby team. Do you see how unfair this is? I'm not saying that Man City have done anything wrong. I'm not saying that. So please, I don't want to have a lawyer from the Etihad painting an X in blood on my door, but I'm just saying, give them their day in court. And to come down on the toffees like this, oh, it is so harsh beyond belief. Honestly, the chairman of the Premier League might as well have walked into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and done a wee in one of the lakes because they're trying to ruin the toffees. No, this is unfair. This is rubbish. This is a complete and total joke. Everton spent £9 million more on their stadium than they should have. I'm sorry. It's a stadium. What do the FA think it's made of? Chewing gum? Don't we, as a football league, want to see the biggest and best arenas in the world? If the Everton board want to give their new stadium a set of wings and make it fly, then let them have it. If they want to erect a statue of King Kong eating a cheese baguette by the corner flag, then absolutely let them do it too. Although, to be fair, this Everton stadium has been the most drawn out thing in the world. It's like the KSI versus Jake Paul of football stadiums. Is it ever actually going to happen? There'll probably have been fully grown teenagers who've been preparing themselves for this riverside ground since the day they were born. In my head, Everton have actually been complying with the rules, or at least trying to. Man City have been laughing in the face of these charges. These first came to light in 2020. The next year, spent £100 million on Grealish. They are laughing at these charges. But Everton, this is a club who for a few years, for every transfer window, they did show all the restraint of, I don't know, Seth Rogen in a cake shop. This is a club who spent €200 million on footballers during the 17-18 season, chucking stupid, massive wages at the likes of Theo Walcott, Wayne Rooney, Yerry Mina. They were so caught up in writing fat paychecks, they didn't even properly do due diligence on the characters they were actually signing. I mean, one of them likes to treat cats like tennis balls, another gets creepy Neymar tattoos on his back, another hosts parties during pandemics, while the other one, kind of just disappeared. But since then, Everton have listened and they just scrounged the rubbish bins for cheap tasks like Ashley Young, Andros Townsend, Neil Maupay, Solomon Rondon, Anwar El Ghazi. They even had Donny van de Beek at the club, which I know, is the most forgettable signing in Premier League history. Honestly, trying to remember Van de Beek in an Everton shirt, it's like trying to imagine seeing Eminem raising a baby with Susan Boyle. Just no weird. Lads, because Everton have been so restricted by FFP, to a point where the owner is probably forced to steal his own children's tooth fairy money just so he can afford himself a sausage roll at lunch, they have been forced to spend money wisely. I genuinely believe that signing Demarai Gray from Bayer Leverkusen for less than £2 million is one of the shrewdest signings in the club's recent history. Honestly, 12 goals in 75 games for a lump sum of money you might win on the chase. Fair play. and getting their hands on James Tarkovsky, Connor Cody, Ashley Young, Jack Harrison, James Rodriguez, and even Dele Alli for the combined cost of a cloud, those were actually shrewd, clever freebie deals. And yet they're still being punished. Everton are like a recovering alcoholic who's chosen to drink orange juice every morning instead of pouring rum into the Cocoa Pops. Despite the crippling headaches and the shakes, they have been complying. So to now be docked 10 points is so harsh. Lads, there is one decision in Premier League history that makes this one look like a complete and utter joke. It's April 2007. West Ham may be judged to have clearly breached regulations relating to third-party ownership when they signed both Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano the summer before. But obviously, the moment we saw two world superstar wonderkids posing with Alan Pardew, we should have known there was something seriously wrong. It's a bit like if you were to see your 86-year-old man, you know, the 4'6" one who's got a full-on scraggly beard and smells like a gorilla's armpit, one who looks a little bit like a leprechaun off a cereal box. It's like suddenly seeing her out to dinner with both Tom Cruise and Justin Bieber. You'd assume that she would probably be related to some underworld criminal gang, and that if they both didn't cooperate and just have some steak and potato with her, then I don't know, they'd have their wives fed to a shark on some bad guy's yacht. Okay, yes, Mascherano was a complete waste of time in a hammer shirt, but Tevez, he woke up after Christmas, scored 7 goals, and chipped in with 3 assists in the final 10 games. In that run, West Ham picked up 21 points with an illegal footballer on the pitch. Don't get it twisted, he was poor until the final third of the season. He couldn't score for months, and yeah, was sitting in the stands watching his teammates concede 6 without reply at Reading. I mean, for a budding young superstar who'd one day be competing for Ballon d'Ors, then yeah, he probably did feel a little bit like someone who was wasting his time with these potato standard footballers. It was a bit embarrassing. And beneath him, I'd be like if you told Bob Dylan to audition for Britain's Got Talent. One of the greatest singer-songwriters in the world being forced to stand in a queue beside some middle-aged lunch lady whose act consists of fitting 90 cheeseburgers in her mouth. But Tevez kept West Ham up when their best player wasn't actually allowed to play for them. Did they get a points deduction? No. They were fined 5.5 million quid. That's not even a slap on the wrist. That's a tickle on their thumb. A 10-point deduction would have made sense for them. They would have then finished 19th in the league, with Sheffield United surviving. I'm sorry, but to any West Ham fan out there, yes, even you, Jack Mate, you can't tell me that wasn't a disgrace that you're allowed to survive after blatantly cheating. If the Blades had survived that year, Neil Warnock could have gone about stabilising them as a Premier League club like Tony Pulis did at Stoke. The fallout for Sheffield United was that they never recovered, and they just wound up relegated to League One in 2011 and didn't make it back to the Premier League until 2019, when they should have been in the Premier League until at the very least 2008. That's so unfair. The hammer should have gone down, but no. Instead, they were allowed to survive and chuck stupid bags of cash on massive wage earners like Kieran Dyer, Scott Parker, Craig Bellamy, Freddie Lundberg, Nobby Solano, and Julia Faubert, all in one mental summer transfer window. What West Ham did with Tevez was far worse than anything Everton has supposedly done, and the fallout from the Everton thing is not as big as it was for Sheffield United. Leicester City are going to pipe up and whine that the Toffees should have had this points deduction last season, meaning that they would have stayed up, but pipe down. This is not a Sheffield United situation. I mean, you're top of the championship, soaring back into the Premier League without a fuss. I promise you, Leicester City fans are going to enjoy this season far more than they would have another relegation fight. I mean, come on, you just started the season with 13 wins from the first 14 games. Enzo Maresca is building one of the most formidable teams in championship history. I mean, weirdly, alongside Ipswich, a team I thought would finish bottom. I'm pretty sure that's now mathematically impossible already. They could lose every single game until May, and they still wouldn't finish bottom. Oh, my championship predictions video. I'm scared to look at it. I know it's going to have aged about as badly as the plot to White Chicks. But my point is, for those of you who feel sorry for Leicester City, don't. Your sympathy is utterly wasted on them. They don't need it. They're having an absolute ball. Lads, points deduction have occurred in the Premier League before, but some of them are so ridiculously unfair. Back in 1997, Middlesbrough were docked 3 points because their team failed to turn up for a game against Blackburn in December 1996. There was a legitimate reason. Brian Robson said he was without 23 players due to illness and injury. That's not just a doctor's note, that's 23 doctor's notes. Enough to take down a tree. It's not like Robson and the players who just chose to spend Saturday afternoon doing Christmas shopping with their wives. I would imagine half of them would probably have rather licked panda vomit off a pencil than being dragged around Primark to Mariah Carey and the Spice Girls on the radio. But lads, Borough wanted to postpone the game. They weren't allowed, and in the end, they finished 19th in the league, just agonizingly 2 points adrift of safety. They could have literally chucked a team of 14-year-olds out onto that pitch and got spanked 12-0 by Blackburn, and they would have still stayed up. It's just a -3 points sent them down. Portsmouth were docked 9 points in March 2010 after running out of cash, to such a point where their new owner, Al Faraj, wasn't able to pay any wages for 3 months, all whilst the club were receiving a winding up order for unpaid taxes. Sorry, he was a businessman from Saudi and could not afford to pay the wages for Steve Finnan, Matt Ritchie, and Talbot Naeem. That's a bit embarrassing. To be fair, Portsmouth were so bad that year that even with the extra 9 points, they'd still have finished bottom of the league. Serie A have handed out bigger points deductions in the past, yeah. The Calciopoli match fixing scandal was mental, and the fallout from that showed the judge woke up one morning and tried to bury Juventus. In May 2006, they finished bottom of Serie A with 91 points, 1 defeat all season long, and they still finished 20th in the league. Not only that, but they were told to start the following season in Serie B on -30 points. They were going to need 10 wins just to get back to 0. When that result was read out by the judge, it must have felt like a Juventus funeral. Just a fan base mentally preparing themselves to be slumped in Serie C by 2008. To be fair, that points deduction was reduced to just 9. But imagine if they hadn't appealed. Their superstar squad would have finished 7th in Serie B on 64 points. Pavel Nedved, Alessandro Del Piero, Gianluigi Buffon, and John Boom song, and they would still wound up mid-table. AC Milan were also docked a monster 30 points in 2006, but it's testament to how amazing that squad was that even still, despite having 30 points taken away, they still had enough points to qualify for the Champions League. Fiorentina were clearly brilliant too, because they also had -30 points, and they still finished top half. Lazio, on the other hand, yeah, -30 points too, but they only survived relegation by the width of a hamster's nose. If it weren't for that absolute superstar form after Christmas, yeah, they'd have gone down too. Yeah, the Serie B title race could have been between Napoli, Juventus, and Lazio. That would have been weird. But honestly, Everton, get yourselves out of this relegation zone fast. I know it's unfair, so please, just start winning some games. Please get yourself out. Please, please, please. I don't want any more milk. I mean, that's what do you think? What do you make of the Everton saga? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.